Greetings. So, here today to discuss an incense making book. As an incense maker and an incense making author, I pretty much read everything I can about incense, and especially about incense making, and especially incense making from a pagan, Wiccan, heathen, etc. author. There's so much I can learn from so many other people that I just love to read about it, and plus I'm an incense fanatic anyway. So, I spotted this book that came out in June of 2012, How to Make Incense, Recipes, Magical References, and Aromatherapy Scent Uses by Gregory Branson-Trent. Gregory Branson-Trent, you are a plagiarizer. You have plagiarized my book. This was the first book that I printed in 2003, Incense, Crafting, and Use of Magical Scents. The entire section in this book that actually talks about how incense is composed, how incense is made, are 9 pages copied word for word out of my book. But as shocking as that is, I'm just a little author, so I understand. Maybe people will copy from me thinking I won't notice. Wrong. I read everything that's remotely related to incense, so I'm certainly going to notice sooner or later. But this book by Mr. Gregory Branson-Trent, or whatever other names he chooses to go under, it seems to be a variety, also blatantly copies from, plagiarizes, who is almost certainly the greatest Wiccan author, Scott Cunningham, heavily plagiarizes the complete book of incense, oils, and brews. Actually incorporates pretty much every recipe from this book in his own book, with no credit to Scott Cunningham, of course. There's no credit to anybody in this book. And he copies the incense recipes verbatim. He copies the instructions verbatim. Everything that you see here marked in pink are words copied verbatim, word for word, from Scott Cunningham. Look at this. And I've barely gotten started on this book. Page after page after page that is just copied word for word. And then a lot of things that aren't highlighted, a word was changed here or there, or he retyped, said it in all caps or italics or something. So if it wasn't exactly identical, I didn't highlight it. And he also steals heavily from Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs, a classic book, a book that's important to all of us. You know, I wouldn't be a published author today, I don't think, if it weren't for Scott Cunningham. The approachability of his material gave me the confidence to try and write myself. I'm not Wiccan, but I do have a tremendous respect for Mr. Cunningham, and he's now on the other side of the veil. He's not here to defend himself. So it's really up to us to keep an eye out for these things and to defend people who can't speak for themselves. This is blatant theft. Worst of all, I guess it's worst, it depends on your perspective of things. This book, you can see that it has lots and lots of white space, wide margins, big print, and it's really incoherent. It's someone who doesn't understand this material at all. Has this wonderful Scott Cunningham material. Also believe he stole some material from Mark Ambrose that he wrote for the Sense of Earth website and a number of other places online. Stole from me, of course. But he had all this great material to work with, and he put it together in a book that's incoherent. It jumps all over the place because it's simply copied and pasted together. The author doesn't understand the material, so he just looks for words that flow together, he thinks. And so he ends up with problems throughout this book. Even if none of the material in the book were stolen, which it all is, he still has significant problems because, for example, he lifted 9 pages out of my first book and put them in here essentially verbatim. And those are pages that talk about incense being made from a base, a binder, and an aromatic. This is for rolling sticks and cones. And it talks all about how critical this is. He immediately jumps to copying Cunningham recipes from this book, and they don't include bases or binders because these are loose incense recipes. They're not recipes for self-rolled, hand-rolled incense, therefore loose incense that's burned on charcoal. So there's this complete disconnect. Some poor reader who had never read anything else on the subject came to this book first, would walk away from it being completely and totally confused about incense making, how it's made, what its purpose is, because this person who cut and pasted this book together doesn't understand it. And he changes a few words here and there to try and customize it to himself, but essentially this is a poorly assembled worst of book because there's no understanding behind it. It jumps, the first half of the book is an herbal that is mostly stolen from Scott Cunningham, but no information is given about how that relates to incense. Gregory Branson-Trent, you are a thief because you are a plagiarizer. You have stolen from me, you have stolen from Scott Cunningham, and who knows how many others. 40 books in print. You claim your books are best sellers. Give me a break. The ranking on this book, after I bought a copy on Amazon, 1.8 million. Okay, you're not a best-selling author. You're not an author at all. You're a thief. You're a thief who steals other people's words and then tries to pass them off as his own. You know, there's no bibliography, there are no citations anywhere in this book. You made no effort. You deliberately hide who wrote this material. You hide from whom you stole it. Well, you made a mistake with this book, because now your entire house of cards is going to come down around you. Please withdraw every copy of this that's ever been printed and send it to me. Pull this book from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and everywhere else it is listed for sale. Immediately suspend sales of any ebooks, and then perhaps I would consider not taking further action. This was a huge mistake on your part. You should have stuck with the paranormal world, where they know that you're a plagiarizer, but no one's been able to nail you down. I know about your fake addresses in New York. I know that you like to use the same street address but change both the city and the state, but I know which one of those addresses is actually real. We've tracked you and your various phone numbers. You've done a good job at trying to hide your real identity, but you have, in the end, failed. This is terrible for anybody who wants to learn about incense, anybody who wants to learn about earth-based spirituality, anybody who pays money. I had to pay $15 for this stinker. I can't ever get my money back on that because I've written all through it, not to mention that I need to keep it as evidence. Mr. Branson-Trent, your time to retire has come. Pull your books from print and step away from the self-publisher. Your time is up. This is your only warning.